of COP26. Hopefully with this activity, we can voice our aspiration together and echo the spirit of hugging the earth for a better future. Before that, I would like to introduce myself as a Master of Ceremony. My name is Erdian Baraki from Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia 2021. And my partner is...
Hello everyone, I'm Filda Shiva from Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia 2021.
Okay, before we start the event today, we'd like to say a little bit about this kind of event. Okay, so the concept of this event is to hold a student version of COP26. We brought together students from around the world, consists of more than 70 groups and from 5 countries, to give a speech about the response to the result of COP26. This event will also produce a joint declaration or statement reflecting a common stance by various communities or organizations around the world. This statement will be amplified through various media around the world, and this event is also expected to be a place to connect and unite student movements around the world. And before we start our event, we would like to mention the rules that need to be kept throughout the event. Filda, can you please state the rules, please?
Okay, rules number 1 is please find a quiet space and use clothes appropriately. Second, let all your family and household members know that you will be in the forum and ask them for not disturb you. And please mute your microphone and open your camera during the forum. Please change your name with the format name underscore organization. We allow all the participants being active in the chat room. And then translation from Bahasa to English and vice versa provided. And last but not least, this meeting will be recorded and will be uploaded via BEM and Greenpeace Indonesia.
Okay, from Filda is echoing. Am I echoing too? Is this still echoing for now? Okay, thank you. Okay, and then I like state again the rules. Oh, it's echoing again. Okay, wait a second. Testing is still echoing. I think it's fine now. Okay. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, the rules is once again stated and that need to be kept throughout the event. Please find a quiet space and use clothes appropriately. The second one is let all your family and household members know that you will be in the forum and ask them for not disturb you. The third one is please mute your microphone and open your camera during the forum. The fourth one, please change your name with the format name underscores organization. The fifth one, we allow all the participants being active in the chat room. And the next one is translation feature from Indonesia to English and vice versa is provided. And also this meeting will be recorded and will be uploaded via YouTube BEM UI and Greenpeace Indonesia. So we'd like to ask your consent about the recording statement. So everyone that keeps in the room is agreed to this meeting will be recorded and participate actively. Thank you. Okay, the next one, Filda, welcome, Rima. Unmute first, please.
Okay, let us move to the core of the event. We will move on to the opening speech session.
Okay, before opening speech, we would like, for the opening speech or welcome remark, we would like to present Ginanjar Aryusita as the project officer of this event. To Ginanjar Aryusita, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Erdi and Filda. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, my friend from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia. And also good afternoon to my friend from UK. Welcome to Conference of Student Response of COP26. I hope you know that we are truly honored for having you all here tonight. And let me introduce myself first. I am Ginanjar Aryasuta as project officer for this event, and I will be with you all throughout this event. And I also want to say thank you for all the delegates. Currently, we estimate about 70 groups of youth from 5 countries. Climate crisis is a never one country problem. It's not affect only one country, but our generation and also next generation as a whole. Therefore, we consider it important for students and young people to unite their voice, unite their spirit, and unite their hope for tackling climate crisis. And this event aims to unite these things to create digital power. Our theme for this event is to respond to COP26. As we all know, hard to call COP26 final outcome is a success. From the goal of keeping temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius, in fact, the existing commitments are still on track above 2.4 degrees Celsius. And we are all also disappointed with the final outcome of COP26, considering that COP is the highest climate conference attended by world leaders. Not to mention, if we discuss the implementation of this already weak commitment, we don't need sweet promise from leaders and politicians. We need real action to stop the climate crisis. If world leaders cannot speak out loud, we, young people around the world, will. I will close this with Hidup Rakyat Indonesia, the most used chant in our civil demonstration, strike, or rally. This chant, it represents our perspective on every issue. Does it benefit the majority of people or just a small portion of people? We always reject the fake solution that only a few elites enjoy. And now, we will refuse any fake solution that only benefit 5% of people. We want to save our generation from climate crisis. That's all from me. With warm regard, enjoy the event, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time tonight. Thank you. Back to RD and Filda.
Thank you, Ginanjar, for the opening speech. Let's get to the next agenda. Let's hear a speech from delegates from University Malaya. Representative from University Malaya, the spotlight is yours.
Okay, we would like to confirm once again our Aru Ajuni from Climate Action Malaysia is ready to give your delegate speech.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for organizing. Thank you BEM UI for inviting me. So I am Aru Ayuni. I'm a student from University Malaya, and I am working with a climate justice organization in Malaysia called Climate Action Malaysia. So COP26 ended with crocodile tears from its president, Alok Sharma, and he said that the pulse of 1.5 is weak, and they wrap up COP26 quite comfortably after that. How can these leaders all go back home flying their private jets, knowing that their pledges were insufficient and will still plunge us to 2.4 degrees of warming? And we know that developed countries have actively avoided the loss and damages talk. Shit, the internet is down. Is my internet still on?
Yes, still on, okay. And we can hear you clearly.
Okay, cool. All right, so can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. Right, so we know that developed countries have actively avoided the loss and damages talk. They have broken the pledge to deliver 100 billion for climate finance. And not surprisingly, some of these funds that have been given have deepened the debt crisis for many countries. This is outright climate injustice when the global north countries are historically responsible for the climate crisis. The global south, particularly ASEAN countries, continue to be the victims of carbon colonialism. In Borneo, Sabah, Malaysia, the state government has tied a deal with foreign companies that involves 2 million hectares of forest, and the process completely disregards free, prior, and informed consent, FPIC, for the people in Sabah, especially the indigenous peoples. This deal is locked in for 100 years, and it will allow the sale for carbon credits so that the global north can achieve their climate goals. People in Sabah are demanding transparency because there's no precise mechanism or framework of this agreement. ASEAN nations are one of the most vulnerable regions to the climate crisis. And on top of that, we face many human rights crises such as militarization, violence, and wars. It is a common ASEAN experience to see authoritarian rule and killings of environmental defenders. As we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, another crisis will loom for us. Climate migration within the region is already happening, and it will be the norm. More vulnerable communities are exposed to life-threatening disasters. When it comes to Malaysia and Indonesia, the elephant in the room is our reliance on palm oil. And climate justice must include providing a just transition for our workers in this industry. We need to find ways to thrive without exhausting our resources. And it is the same with oil and gas industry. We need to plan a phase out, a just transition, and we need to get support from developed countries. Carbon offsets, as you know, are a total greenwash. If we continue this pathway, it means that us, the global south, we will continue to carry this huge burden of solving the climate crisis. There's no amount of Kalimantan or Sabah forest land that can offset carbon or satisfy the thirst for profit in this broken economic system. Through the failure of COP26, we must question whether the next COP will even change anything. We need an alternative to COP because it will not solve the climate crisis fast enough or protect the frontline communities who are already affected today. And this alternative, it needs to create disruption. It must come from the people. And we will not cross our fingers and let the next 10 COPs decide our fate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aru Ajuni from Climate Action Malaysia of University Malaya for the amazing speech. And we would like to go to the next delegate speech. Okay. The next delegate speech is from Timothy Sambuaga of Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Fakulty of Law Universitas Indonesia. The stage is yours, Timothy.
Right, thank you. Good evening. Greetings for us all. My name is Timothy Sambuaga. I'm a student who came from an island in the far north of Indonesia to Jakarta in here, the capital city of Indonesia. And the reason I came all the way from my hometown is because I am fully aware of how important education plays in my future. But as time went on, I realized that there were something much bigger than me. I realized how important is my education, my degree, if it turns out that we call the future will never come. How important would your job be if the planet turned out to be uninhabitable? How important would the money in your bank account be if the world as you've known it disappeared? If indeed the future is important, I think all of you, the world leaders, should panic. All of you, the world leaders, should not be able to sleep peacefully. All of you, the world leaders, should not longer be able to laugh and laugh with your colleagues while shaking hands and waving at the camera. Mr. Jokowi, the President of Indonesia, you should panic. Panic because this land, the place we call Ibu Pertiwi, is on its way to serious destruction. The capital city of your country, my country, where your palace is located, is sinking. hundreds of thousands, and even millions of people are flooded every year. Mr. President, forests are continuously cleared. The number of endangered animals continues to rise. Pneumonia, hepatitis, cholera, dengue fever will be rampant. Mr. President, you should panic, Mr. President. Because not only my grandchildren, but your grandchildren will potentially not see the future. However, what exactly is the Indonesian government doing? What is the parliament doing? Many people say that our government, president, and the parliament are just silent on the climate crisis. They are not doing anything. Well, they are mistaken. What have they done? Instead of fixing the sinking capital city, the government chose to move the country's capital to an area safer from disaster on the island of Kalimantan. Instead of pushing a reduction of deforestation rates, the government has said that the massive development must not stop in the name of carbon emissions or deforestation. Instead of supporting the energy transition to clean and renewable energy, the government has chosen to build coal-fired power plants everywhere. Instead of strengthening environmental protection regulations, the government chose to make regulations that improve the Indonesian economy and increase investment rate. So is the government not doing something? Yes, they did something. They did something wrong. His Excellency, Mr. President, Madam Speaker of the House, and all of governments at the central and regional levels, if you were watching this, listen to this carefully. The extinction is getting real. The destruction is in sight. Each and every one of you has the power to do right for this country. All the development and investment you build, it means nothing when the great destruction comes. Now I'm asking you, from the bottom of my heart, to act and save this country right now. Because if you are not, for God's sake, you will be remembered by future generations, and they will never not forgive you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timothy Sambuaga, for the amazing speech, especially regarding this country. Thank you. And before we continue to the delegate speech, I would like to mention the information about this speech. The speech activities are carried out in two stages. The first stage is speech conducted by selected delegates, and the second stage is free speech that can be done by any Zoom participants at the end of this speech stages. Each representative who makes speech is done for maximum 5 minutes, and also speech can be done using English and Indonesian. The topic of the speech is environmental issues and free to discuss of any environmental issues. Thank you, and I'm sorry for the unmentioned rules about this. Okay, Hilda?
Okay, thank you, Erdi, for the information, and thank you, Timothy, from Student Executive Board Faculty of Law, Universitas Indonesia, for this amazing speech. We would like to hear the next speech from Daniela, from Class The Make Climate. To Daniela, the stage is yours.
Okay, we would like to confirm once again, is Daniela Sams is ready to give its speech?
Okay. We would like to hear the next speech, probably from Noval Shihab Mujahid of BEM Seluruh Indonesia.
Okay.
Novel, the stage is
Okay.
yours.
Okay, thank you, Tilda and RD. Can you hear my voice before?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, clearly. Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. Good evening from Bandung, the capital city of West Java, Indonesia. My name is Noval Syapunjaya Sudrajat, as Media Coordinator, Alliance of Student Executive Board in Indonesia. This is an honor for me because I get an honor to give a speech to all of you. So hope you enjoy it. On speech by President of Indonesia, Mr. Joko Widodo, show that they want to improve Indonesia's nature by planting 600,000 of mangrove and rehabilitation 3 million critical lands in Indonesia between 2010 to 2019. In another side, he bought that reduction of the number of deformation has decreased significantly over the last 20 years. Based on this situation, I wonder about whether the initiation movement from government to achieve Indonesia as nature friendly can be realized well with that movement. Of course, this will not fit if we compare with the destruction of nature that has been carried out so far. Start with the emission by manufacturer or individuals. If we think more again, can 3 million critical lands or 600,000 hectares of mangrove can save Indonesian nature? I think we must have strong regulation for this issue. Let's say that the regulation of environment, we can apply code of conduct that focus on waste management that must be applied on all companies and contractors and give penalty for violators in the form of license revocation. Every industries that change heterogeneous forests into commodity production must be replaced according to how much land was destroyed to another land to perceive climate sustainability. Actually, the government can implement this, but why? The question is why this unimplemented? Is it a problem from above or from the implementation level? I don't know why. So this is where the government not really serious about protecting our nature. That is allowed, but the government cannot bend this commitment to officers who oversee emission control from manufacturing or others. So this is not relevant to the government's goals, actually. Okay, thank you. So that's a speech from me. And hopefully this activity will solve nowadays problem and provide the best solution. Thank you.
Yes, Naufal, thank you for your amazing speech regarding the situation of Indonesia, and we also hope to solve the problem of Indonesia and around the world. Okay, the next speech we would like to hear is from delegate speech from Mia Element, from organization Oxford Climate Society from University of Oxford. Mia Clement, the spotlight is yours. Hello, Mia Clement. Are you ready to speak your? We'd like to confirm once again, Mia Clement from Oxford Climate Society. Are you ready to give your speech right now? Okay, we will next to the next delegate speech. The next one is from Amalia Narya of Organization Solar Generation from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. For Amalia, the spotlight is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi everyone, this is Amalia. I'm from Solar Generation. as you can see, the policy made by Indonesia government is, I think, it's very inadequate to reach the Paris Agreement, where if all countries did the same as Indonesia, the global warming is expected to reach 0.3 to 4 degrees. It means our Earth will no longer worth living for all of us as a young generation. And as you already know, every day the climate crisis has claimed many lives. Around 6.5 million Indonesian, they had to evacuate and suffer as a result of disaster, and the disaster we are experiencing now are floods, landslide, drought, and other hydrometeorological disasters that require people to evacuate and even increase the price of food and basic needs, which ends with an increase in social inequality that is already wide. And for this failure, we accuse the leaders of countries at COP26, including Indonesia, in the name of crimes against humanity. And sadly, we are a marginalized, or young people and women have been faced with the fact that the series of the disaster and calamities is not destiny, but the product of a capitalist state system that always carries out extractive development by prioritizing the profit of a few while sacrificing people's life and environment. So we are the next generations demand all the leaders of this world, especially the Indonesian government, to find and immediately determine how can get out of this problem. By one, maybe we can try, we need a new system, an economic system that prioritizes life and welfare, and which is based on meeting the needs of the community independently and sustainability. And we need a system in the name of justice is served without exploitation or oppression of people and nature. And the second is Indonesia government must act now. We demand that Mr. Jokowi, as the highest level of the state, to declare a climate emergency and disseminates information about what the climate crisis is, what causes it, and how the public can help the situation as widely as possible, including through the mass media and educational institutions. And we demand the formulation and implementation of legally binding policies to reduce net greenhouse gas emission to zero or net zero by 2025, and unite by annual plans and targets for all efforts that individuals and companies can undertake. So to revoking several policies, including the revocation of the Omnibus Law, Minerba Law, and we need to strengthening the independence of the KPK, or Komisi Pemberantasan Korupsi, and we need ratification of the indigenous people and reform again the truth for the new renewable energy, and without green coal. And we need to phase out the use and production of coal to zero in 2030. And we need to end all extractive industry subsidies and dirty energy. Also, we want to ensure that there is a fair transitions for all affected sectors, and revisions of national strategic projects and investment in extractive and dirty energy based on surveying World Fund. And we need to save to investment in the sustainable needs of the community. And because of that, we are young people of Indonesia. are able to maintain the Earth's ecological system, and we are able to get the right to live in a peaceful and healthy environment, and we have the right to have an opinion as human beings for a good heart, for a good Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Amalia from Solar Generation of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia for the amazing speech. We would like to hear the next speech from Young Feng of Singapore Climate Rally. To Young Feng, the stage is yours.
Hi, hello. I'm actually John. Yongfeng is, I was taking over from Yongfeng, but anyway, that's not important. So this is SG Climate Rally's statement on COP. It has been 2 years since Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong first acknowledged that climate change is a life and death issue. In those 2 years, however, the climate crisis and biodiversity loss have continued to exacerbate. While we acknowledge that the government has released various initiatives and made progress on various environmental issues over the years, we know that our actions are still not yet where they need to be. It is undeniable that climate change and biodiversity loss are existential crises with world-changing consequences. But moments like this one also give us an opportunity to reflect on the values we want to hold on to and the world we want to leave behind for our future generations. Singapore aims to honor the values of justice and equality. This means that our approach to mitigating the climate crisis must logically be rooted in these same values. We must ask ourselves, are we truly doing enough? What does an equal, just, and inclusive climate resilient Singapore look like? What is Singapore's responsibility to our regional neighbors, all of you who are here today? Our sentiments in this statement are guided by these questions. Representing the voices of concerned youths, we set out key recommendations across 6 topics that we want to see greater action on. This is an unprecedented initiative with environmental and climate youth organizations across varied interests coming together to collaborate for the first time. This statement is also a call to connect with people who believe in a livable future for Singapore and the wider Southeast Asian region. Since this is truly one of the greatest challenges facing humankind, we want to be part of this conversation. We are highly aware that this is an issue with many trade-offs. As such, given the scale of the climate crisis, we want our choices to be more open and transparent. This is a matter that affects all of us, especially our generation and ones to come. It is only right then that we should be recognized as equal partners. We want to have a part in the choices Singapore ultimately makes. Over COP26, Singapore signed major agreements such as to phase out coal, cut methane emissions, and to end deforestation by 2030. However, Singapore has not increased the ambition of its NDC target since 2015 and only plans to reach net zero sometime in the second half of this century, which the Climate Action Tracker rates as critically insufficient. We also think that Singapore can do more international collaboration to assist other countries in their green transition and hope that the government will substantially increase its climate ambition for next year's COP. These are our recommendations for Singapore. On emissions and targets, peak emissions before 2025 and align net zero by 2050, where our public sector takes the lead. This is on emissions and targets. Disclose Singapore's non-territorial scope 3 emissions and to work to reduce these emissions in line with net zero by 2050. And increase participation investments in regional mitigation measures. Okay, gosh, I'm sorry, this is like really a lot, but personally, I just want to say that whatever you're doing is great, and I share your angle. So how much time do I have left? Sorry, because this is really a lot to read.
Timekeeper, can you please help us?
Okay.
Please
Got,
continue.
got you.
Left.
On nature and biodiversity, protect remaining habits, ensure nature conservation efforts are well established scientifically and sustainably, environmentally, and financially in the long term, implement structured and systemic approaches to manage divergent uses of natural spaces. On energy, undertake more explicit and robust energy reporting and targets. Greater due diligence in new energy technological developments, as well as expanded engagements and participations of youth. On corporate responsibility and finance emissions, a ban on new fossil fuel and habitat destruction related financing, and for Singapore Exchange to mandate short-term and long-term targets for reaching net zero for SGX listed companies and finance emissions for financial institutions. On community empowerment and inclusion, respectful engagement with stakeholders such as public and civil society. Support for a diversity of environmental projects. Climate and environmental education, including topics such as biodiversity conservation and indigenous studies, to be robustly included as central theme of formal education. Next, to recognize and elevate sustainabilities, to elevate narratives of sustainability from the indigenous communities. Lastly, on economy and people, progressive tax reform, including a higher carbon tax and a carbon dividend, to protect workers in sunset industries such as fossil fuel industries and invest in good green jobs. Lastly, acknowledge global responsibility in contributing to the current climate crisis. That's all from me. Back to you, Adi and Filda.
Okay, thank you, John, for from Singapore Climate Rally for the speech and also the recommendation for Singapore. The next speech, the next delegate speech is from Akib of PKD Banten from from Universitas Raharja. For Akib, the spotlight is yours.
Ya, halo. Oke, terima kasih waktunya. Ya mungkin saya akan bercerita aja ya tentang krisis iklim yang dialami di Banten sendiri. Contohnya Banten ini dikelilingi oleh PLTU dari Tangerang, Serang, Cilegon sampai Pandeglang. Salah satunya PLTU yang ada di Surabaya ini. PLTU yang ada di Surabaya ini tertua di Indonesia. Umurnya 1984. Dia sejak awal yang ada di Indonesia ini. Kapasitas PLTU yang ada di Indonesia ini 3.400 megawatt. PLTU Surabaya yang merupakan salah satu PLTU terbesar di Indonesia menyumbang 17% dari kebutuhan energi listrik Jawa Bali. Ditambah lagi saat ini sedang dibangun PLTU 910. Nah, kita dari teman-teman Mapala Sebanten bahwasanya halo tes. Sorry.
Yes, we can masih terdengar, we can still hear you.
Ditambah lagi saat ini sedang dibangun PLTU 910, PLTU yang telah dioperasi sejak sudah memberikan banyak dampak negatif dan tentunya menyumbang jutaan ton emisi karbon yang memburuk krisis iklim. Bagaimana jika pembangkit listrik berbahaya fosil ini terus bertambah di Banten sendiri? Oke, cukup.
Okay, thank you, Oki, from PKD Banten of Universitas Raharja for the amazing speech. We would like to hear the next speech from Fizahan of Monash University. To Fizahan, representative from greenwelfare.id, the stage is yours.
Hello, sorry, do I just start?
Yes, please.
Sorry, may I have a second?
Do you need a time a little bit, or you can start?
Sorry, hold on.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, hi, my name is Fiza. I'm from Green Welfare Indonesia, and today I'll be delivering a speech. We are living on this planet as if we had another one to go to. A quote by Terry Swearingen. COP26 conference held at Glasgow recently ended around a week ago. The objective of it was to fight climate change. But did they succeed at this? Are the measures effective? And will these world leaders carry out their promises? It's hard to carry on with our everyday tasks when your future is out of your control. When the richest 1% of the world are the ones determining the human race's survival. The theme of the COP26 conference was climate change. However, it felt like it should have been privileged with the amount of it involved. Thousands of climate activists, especially those in their youth and from the global south, were unable to attend due to the high costs, leaving out the voices involved, the ones who are most affected by climate change. The youth organization I'm involved in, Green Welfare Indonesia, was unable to attend due to this. We focus on sustainable agriculture, zero hunger, and climate change. All too often, we get too focused on either human rights or climate rights. When they're interconnected, take care of the planet and it will take care of its people, and vice versa. Even those who walk the same halls as these world leaders do not receive the same privileges, having their access restricted by accreditation, unable to speak their thoughts. Different ideas and pledges were discussed throughout the duration of COP26. A zero deforestation pledge was introduced and Indonesia had signed it, a step in the right direction. Nations around the world agreed to stop cutting down trees on an industrial scale in under a decade. If executed properly, this deal could help put Indonesia on the right path. However, certain officials have come out against the pledge, stating Indonesia must not halt its economic growth. Indonesia's natural wealth, including forests, must be managed for its use according to sustainable principles. In an ideal world, this would be the case. But we are living in a climate emergency. We are heading towards a mass extinction if we continue at this pace. Even dinosaurs, big mighty creatures, could be wiped off this planet. Imagine us humans. Why do we think we're so invincible? And yes, Indonesia is making progress and has its lowest deforestation level since 1990. However, could this just be because there's less forest to cut down? Think about it. The second pledge Indonesia took on was regarding the usage of coal and their promise to cut down on it by 2040. But 2040 may be too late for us, too late for the climate. But nonetheless, how can we ensure the world's leaders to carry out their promises? The first step would be educating civil society regarding COP26. Only certain groups of people are aware regarding COP26 and the impacts of climate change. Through educating the general public, more people are likely to be aware of the effect and power of COP26 and can cause pressure for governments to act rightly. Another interesting aspect of COP26 was how developed countries such as the US and Netherlands created a pact to fund developing countries and local communities fight against climate change. Around $1.7 billion USD, in fact. It's a large amount of money being transferred from one government to another. It's a great step, but there's no way for us to ensure that the money used will actually be for climate funding. There needs to be a form of transparency between governments and the people to make sure it's actually being used for its intended purpose. One of the greatest topics overlooked by COP26 was the impact of our food choice on the earth. A methane pledge was signed by 100 countries. However, Climate Action Tracker stated that it is not enough to meet the 1.5 Celsius degrees target. Sustainable eating habits and agriculture could be one of our greatest solutions to fighting not only climate change, but also world hunger. A University of Oxford study stated that food production is responsible for a quarter of all greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to global warming. COP26 recognizes the impact of urgency of food choices, as they even provided vegan food at their conference. Yet, they failed to recognize it when creating action. Green Welfare Indonesia focuses on this issue. All too often, we get caught up on the other factors of climate change, yet forget about the easiest one to change, our consumption habits. Finding a way to reduce the world's meat consumption and implementing more sustainable agriculture is a step in the right direction, and it's the key in fighting climate change. Lastly, I would like to further add that countries need to get us, the members of the youth, involved in these decision-making processes. Whether we witness COP26 on screen or face-to-face, the negotiation process excluded young people. We're constantly hearing about how we are the future of this planet. Now let us help make sure we have one. Because with no Earth, there is no future. We may be young, but we have a voice. Let us get involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fiza, for your heartwarming speech. And we also hope we together can educate everyone of the situation regarding COP26. Okay, the next speech we would like to hear is from delegates of Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Indonesia Banking School. For Disha, the spotlight is yours.
Halo semuanya, perkenalkan nama saya Disha Seviana Putri. Di sini saya perwakilan dari Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Indonesia Banking School. Di sini saya akan menyampaikan bagaimana komitmen pemerintah dalam penanganan pencemaran pesisir pantai di Tanjung Burung. Peraturan pemerintah Indonesia, peraturan presiden tentang penanganan sampah plastik laut yang disertai dengan rencana aksi penanganan sampah plastik laut 2018 sampai 2025. Nyatanya sampai tahun 2021 saat ini, sampah tetap menjadi masalah yang utama, di mana kita bisa lihat di pesisir pantai Tangerang, tepatnya di pantai Tanjung Burung, terdapat pulau sampah, di mana pulau tersebut sudah ditutupi oleh tumpukan sampah yang mengeras secara bertahun-tahun, di mana ketebalannya itu sudah mencapai 3 meter dan juga panjangnya 2,5 kilometer. Ini menjadi masalah utama bagi negara kita sendiri, Indonesia, bagaimana pemerintah seharusnya bisa lebih aware atau lebih perhatian terhadap permasalahan ini, karena sampah plastik ini bisa menjadi salah satu penyebab utama perubahan iklim. Plastik ini terbuat dari minyak bumi dan plastik tidak dapat diurai secara alami oleh bakteri dalam tanah sehingga membutuhkan ratusan tahun sampai plastik dapat terurai dengan sendirinya. Dan saking lamanya terurai, banyak masyarakat yang mengelola sampah plastik tersebut dengan cara dibakar. Padahal pengelolaan plastik tersebut dengan cara dibakar akan menambah emisi gas rumah kaca di atmosfer bumi. Dan beberapa aksi yang sudah diluncurkan oleh masyarakat terhadap permasalahan ini masih belum secara efisien, karena sampah ini sudah terlalu lama dan sudah terlalu banyak sehingga bisa membentuk suatu pulau, dan seharusnya pulau di Indonesia itu harus menjadi suatu investasi buat Indonesia sendiri, tapi ini justru malah pulau terbuat dari sampah. Dan pemerintah seharusnya bisa membuat peraturan yang lebih tegas lagi kepada para masyarakat Indonesia khususnya, dan juga para industri untuk mengelola plastik itu supaya ramah lingkungan dan juga ramah dengan iklim. Jika terus terjadi seperti ini, akan menjadikan kualitas air yang buruk, kualitas lingkungan juga buruk, dan kualitas hidup masyarakat pun juga akan buruk. Di sini saya mengharapkan para pemimpin dunia, pemerintah Indonesia, dan juga masyarakat Indonesia, mari kita bersama-sama saling berkolaborasi, saling memerangi sampah plastik di laut ini, dan bertukar pandangan tentang tata kelola serta prioritas kebijakan sampah plastik laut. demi untuk menjaga bumi kita sendiri, demi untuk menjaga khususnya Indonesia kita sendiri, karena dengan sampah tahun-tahun ke depan kita nggak akan tahu bumi kita tuh akan jadi apa kalau terus dibiarkan seperti ini. Baik, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Disha Septiana from BEM UBS. Now we're going to move to the next session, the free speech session.
Okay, the next speech is free speech for everyone that is participate in this Zoom. You can actually register to participate in a free speech within this chat by typing your name and your organization, like your name in this Zoom. So for everyone who would like to give your free speech, you were allowed to do so. Yes, for everyone that who want to give some speech by Salma and Ginanjar's chat, you can comment in the room chat by writing your name _ organization in the chat room. Oh, okay. While we were waiting for free speech, the Mia Clement is already with us today. Hello, Mia Clement.
Hi, I'm not sure whether my video is working or not, but it's lovely to be here, and I apologize if it's not working. Let me try.
That's okay. Okay, for Mia Clement, delegates of Oxford Climate Society from University of Oxford, the spotlight to give your delegate speech is yours.
Perfect, thank you. Well, no, thank you for all being here, and it's lovely to see quite a few people on here, 119, that's amazing. I guess I'd like to start my speech by highlighting the work that Oxford Climate Society, but the university as a whole, has been trying to push for action across COP26, and how this has culminated in our Climate League. So this Climate League has put the rankings of all our colleges into what they're doing to decarbonize, what they're doing to reach net zero, and what they're doing to have biodiversity net gain. And I think having this ranking shows that it's not just the international platforms that need to take action, it's a regional and local level. We all need to work together, to work from the bottom up, to force those top-down approaches. And I think this is more and more being highlighted from COP26 and the pessimism, I suppose, of what's happened there, and the fact that we don't have as bold as an action as we'd like it to be. And therefore, I think, again, what the Climate Society and what Oxford is trying to do through the students, I'd like to highlight that it is a student-led movement. And I think this goes to say for most of the youth activism and activism that's going on when it comes to climate change, and that we are showing that no matter who you are, no matter if you think your individual changes don't do anything, if you come to a collective, if you work together, and if we all come together to realize that climate change is just one crisis that we need to attend to, we need to make sure we highlight inequality, inequity at the same time, we can have a sustainable future. We can work off from it. And I think that is one thing we need to keep on pushing for, because COP26 didn't highlight that enough, I think. And therefore, having meetings like this, having conferences and meetings and coming together, discussing our own ideas is a brilliant way where we can include everyone and make sure that we're all there when it comes to tackling climate change and tackling the justice issues of the world. And no, I just want to say again that this movement for climate justice has been a bottom grounded movement. We have seen it from students, from young people, from people in society who don't have all the resources maybe that those in higher positions have or governments have, but we've still seen changes. We've still seen massive improvements. And I think that's just showing the power that each of us can have when we come together, and having, again, meetings like this gives us all a platform to voice our own opinions and then move on from it and use COP26 as a standing point where we go, this wasn't good enough, this is what we need, this is what we're going to fight for, and therefore governments, international agencies and NGOs will agree and say, yes, we all need to come together and do this together. No, thank you all for having me, and please, any questions, shoot them my way.
Okay, thank you, Mia from Oxford Climate Society, for encouraging speech for us young generation to actively participate in this issue.
Okay, also we seen before that Niken Bestari from Universitas Jember raised hand before. For Niken, would you like to give a free speech? Hello, Niken from Universitas Jember. Or do you have something to ask or anything? Okay, we would like to remind all the participants to actively join this free speech by typing your name and organization in the chat room to participate in the free speech. Anyone in this Zoom can participate in the free speech. So if you like to share your thoughts about COP26 or regarding any environmental issues, please feel free to type your name _ organization in the chat room.
I mean, it looks like no one wants to talk as of yet, so I'll just make one more point.
Okay, yeah, please.
That's okay. So I just want to put out there that I'm coming, as you know, from a very privileged background. I come from the UK and I go to Oxford University, and I think both of those add to the privilege that I have, and therefore anyone who comes from a similar background needs to use this platform to get others who don't have a voice to use it, to speak out on their individual experience, their lived experience. And rather than us trumping our own trumpets and saying, oh, look at this amazing work we are doing here, we need to show what other people are doing. We need to have the optimism of what other groups can do, what other people are doing, and show that it isn't just the West that can do stuff. And therefore we need to have our platforms open to everyone. And again, having this inclusivity is absolutely key. And also having an intersectional approach, I think, is really important. And I see that quite a few people have put their names in the chat now, so I'll pass on to them. But again, lovely to be here.
Thank you, Mia, for sharing your thoughts once again. Okay, we would please the Nadia from kami to give her free speech. The spotlight is yours, Nadia.
Hello, hi semua orang, selamat malam. My name is Nadia, I'm from Climate Action Malaysia. Previously, Aru from our organization has also spoken about this. I just wanted to say that I've been hearing really amazing thoughts, ideas, suggestions, calls, demands from youth around. I think in Southeast Asia, we have heard students from Singapore and all over Indonesia. That is so amazing. I just wanted to maybe I don't want to take much space and much time, but I just wanted to put this out that following what Mia just mentioned, yes, we need to get in touch with each other. Solidarity, global solidarity is really important. But I think personally, what we want from the global North people to do is to pressure their government. I think this is really important because the global North leaders are not listening to us. They are not listening from people who's most affected. They are not listening to us. But you guys have the power to change your government, to change your elected leaders. So please do so. And then the other one that I really want to put it out here is that we don't want global North organizations to come in to our our regions, giving in money and charity and things like that. We want solidarity beyond financial capacity, you see. So that means we work, we participate, we collaborate on ideas, on projects together, based on the same understanding that we are living in the same world, but having to understand that the historical emission. I think this is really important, putting it out there again. So I'm just thinking that if there's going to be another action, another Southeast Asia action, I want it to be led by students from the global students, grassroots. I think these voices needs to be at the front lines because they have missed so many negotiations. They have missed so many. They don't have spaces in negotiation, in decision-making spaces. The street is their space. They have to reclaim it. So I think this is what students, gerakan mahasiswa all over Southeast Asia should celebrate, should understand that without students, without young people, transformational radical action cannot work. We are the drivers of change. So let's do this together. Yeah, okay, I think that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Nadia, for coming for such an amazing speech. Here's another one of our friends who wants to share his thoughts. John from Singapore, Kalamat Valley, the stage is yours.
Hi, hello. I really don't have the space for like all this fancy talking about. I just know that from my experience that the time for talk is really over. I read this article that in The Guardian where it's talking about the moral case for destroying fossil fuel infrastructure. And I just feel like all this talking around this, like all this talking is fine, but we really should be getting on to the action of things. And that's just my personal experience, because honestly this all this talking about country commitments, I'm not, I kind of think we're just like a bit past that. That's what it comes down to. We're just kind of past that because they're not listening. So we have to do something about it as young people. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, me too. I would echo what John has said, that like we gotta be more practical than we are with our words. Because like I don't think people would care about like these stuff. Like I'm speaking on behalf of everyone else in my around me, because I live in Indonesia for 19 years, and yeah, people don't really care if we're not really do something about it. So yeah, I guess that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, John and Kiki, for your free speech. And I would like to allow Tri Utomo from Pemuda Peduli Lingkungan Eretan Hutan to give his free speech. For Tri Utomo, the stage is yours.
Terima kasih. Selamat malam. Saya dari Pemuda Peduli Lingkungan Eretan Wetan, lokasinya di Indramayu. Saya mewakili teman-teman dan juga warga yang terdampak dari perubahan iklim secara nyata, yaitu banjir rob yang selalu melanda di wilayah pesisir, dan dengan adanya berita bahwa di tahun 2030 kita akan terancam tenggelam. Hari ini saya ingin menyampaikan kepada kawan-kawan semua bahwa kita membutuhkan aksi nyata dan juga kolaborasi antar lembaga, baik itu pemerintah maupun masyarakat dan juga swasta, untuk terlibat bagaimana mengurangi dampak-dampak lingkungan yang ada hari ini. Saya menginginkan adanya sebuah aksi nyata juga dari teman-teman mahasiswa. Kita membutuhkan bantuan untuk bagaimana mensosialisasikan kepada masyarakat dan juga pemerintah untuk menanggulangi bencana yang ada di sekitar desa kami sendiri, yaitu di Eretan Wetan. Hari ini semakin rutin terjadinya banjir, dan ini membuat aktivitas masyarakat, baik itu aktivitas ekonomi maupun aktivitas sosial, menjadi terhambat. Ini merupakan kondisi yang sangat urgen untuk ditindaklanjuti bagaimana kita menyelesaikan permasalahan yang ada. Mungkin itu saja dari saya. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Tri Utomo from the PRC. Such an amazing speech. We would like to allow Nico from Universitas Sriwijaya to share his thoughts. So Nico, the stage is yours.
Baik, terima kasih kepada semua para peserta dan para panitia yang memberikan kesempatan kepada saya untuk berbicara mengenai lingkungan hidup begitu ya. Jadi perkenalkan, saya Niko Nababan, saya dari Universitas Sriwijaya, dan kebetulan saya pendatang ya, saya dari Medan, dan saya aktif saat ini di beberapa organisasi lingkungan hidup, dan kebetulan di 1 bulan terakhir saya menyelesaikan tugas saya menjadi volunteer di TNT, yang dimana itu merupakan salah satu wadah bagi pemuda untuk memerangi climate change begitu. Saya sebenarnya agak miris melihat ketika para pemimpin negara di beberapa minggu yang lalu berkumpul untuk membahas masalah krisis iklim, namun tidak menghasilkan sebuah keputusan yang kita harapkan untuk memerangi iklim ke depannya begitu. Dan sebagai pemuda, kita seharusnya bisa memberikan kontribusi kita melalui gagasan dan ide-ide kita, dan ini menjadi salah satu permasalahan terbesar yang saya hadapi ketika saya aktif di media sosial untuk mengkampanyekan climate change, dan saya mencoba untuk mengkampanyekan climate change di beberapa teman sejawat saya. Mereka sepertinya sangat tidak tertarik akan isu demikian. Padahal kalau kita berpikir secara mendalam, bahwa kalau tanpa adanya campaign dan aksi-aksi yang kita lakukan, maka sangat mustahil SDGs akan kita tempuh begitu. Sehingga saya berpikir begini, ketika krisis iklim tidak dapat kita perangi, SDGs yang digagas oleh para pemimpin dunia itu hanya omong kosong belaka, yang dimana kesehatan menjadi salah satu poin yang tidak mungkin dapat dipenuhi, kemudian disusul dengan ekonomi dan sanitasi. Waktu itu saya sempat bercerita kepada dosen saya untuk aktif memerangi climate change, dan melalui gerakan-gerakan kecil seperti melakukan penanaman kembali, kemudian kita mencoba untuk mengimplementasikan teknologi yang saat ini kita pelajari untuk membantu para masyarakat dalam melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan kecil yang berdampak bagi lingkungan. Namun sepertinya ide yang saya tawarkan kepada dosen saya dan teman-teman saya tidak direspon dengan baik, dan harapan saya ketika saya melakukan free speech di dalam konferensi ini, saya mendapatkan orang-orang yang sependapat dengan saya, sependapat dengan gagasan-gagasan saya untuk memerangi krisis iklim ke depannya. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Nico from Universitas Sriwijaya for your free speech. The next one, we would like to allow Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Yarsi to give its free speech. The representative from Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Yarsi, are you ready to give your free speech? Okay, maybe we would like to go to the next free speech from this free speech is from Tanri Abeng University. The representative is ready to give its speech.
Hello?
Yes, Ari.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Ari. I'm the president of Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Tanri University. Thanks for having me in this event. I'd like to speak about the climate change. I will support about all of the speakers says in this forum about how we need to focus on the health about the climate change. Regardless, the results of the COP26 is not good enough for us to speak up about how we need to rebuild our environment. We already know that we just have one planet right now to live on. So eventually, if our planet right now is crashed because the globalization and the turning of CO2, we need to hear right now how our children, our grandchild in the next years will be live on. Can you imagine if in someday our grandson or our child will be in the stay at home because outside of the home is so hot and our skin is kind of barely to hear about the climate. So if we do not act right now, if we don't act about these things rightly, we'll be regret about that. I support this forum and I speak freely and I stand with all of you those guys in here to progress to climate change and make the world better. I stand for all of you guys. Thanks for having me. Woo!
Okay, thank you, Ari from Tanri Abeng University for such an amazing speech. The next one, we would like to allow Wahyu Aji from Fossil Free Universitas Gajah Mada to share his thoughts. To Wahyu, the stage is yours.
Thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm Wahyu Aji from Fossil Free UGM. I wanna tell something about people always forget about this. It is about the climate justice and gender justice. It is very relatable with our society, with our phenomena today. I hope that for justice in our earth come to gender justice and also climate justice. I've seen so many things happen that that come from our people who can put the responsibility to our gender perspective in how we look, how we see the climate problems from the gender perspective. We we often see so many problems that that happen in women, in grassroots women, that get the climate crisis impact more than men, maybe. Such as the woman from Kendeng or from Wadas that get the intimidation and the land grabbing from the country, from Indonesia country, that can halt their commitment to keep the environment, keep the climate justice to everyone who wants it like that. And I think we should hold this issue together. If we talk about climate justice, we should talk about the gender justice too, because we like the problems in that we've seen before. So many things about climate problems cause so big impact in women, so big impact in the others for their economic and their welfare, social welfare. And then yeah, we know that climate is impact our economics and our social welfare, and we should take more attention about that. And then maybe the last, yeah, we should build the movement, especially in climate justice, more solid, more bigger, especially from our campus, for our community, and everyone that we can hold together. I think it is from me, from Fossil Free UGM. Thank you so much for inviting us to be this great forum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wahyu from Fossil Free Universitas Gadjah Mada for your amazing delegate speech. Indeed, and would like to hear an opinion from Kiki of UIN Jogja. Would you like to give your opinion regarding any environmental issues or especially COP26?
Well, I said my point, so I got nothing for now.
Okay, then. Okay, thank you, Kiki, for your opinion.
Anyone in this room who wants to share your thoughts and give us your speech about this issue, please feel free to join us by inputting name, _ organization in this chat room. You guys are very welcome.
Oh, for Kelvin, would you like to give your opinion or give your free speech? Kevin,
yeah.
from BEM UI. Oh, no. Or Kelvin? Kelvin from SMA 1 Pangkal Pinang.
Oke. Terima kasih untuk kesempatannya. Nama saya Kelvin Nathan Nicholas. Di sini saya ingin memberikan sedikit pendapat saya bahwa menurut saya COP26 yang sudah berlangsung kemarin sama sekali tidak menjawab pertanyaan dan kebutuhan kita terkait dengan climate crisis ini, karena yang kita butuhkan lebih dari hanya sebuah perkumpulan atau sebuah pembahasan, tapi kita membutuhkan action yang benar-benar nyata begitu. Sekarang ini climate disaster, bencana-bencana akibat iklim sudah semakin terlihat seperti contohnya banjir di Kalimantan yang tidak kian surut, lalu juga beberapa ancaman tenggelamnya pesisir utara Jawa begitu. Masyarakat sudah melakukan aksi, sudah mengambil perannya untuk membuat gerakan, membuat aksi. Nah, kita masih menunggu peranan atau bagian dari pemerintah untuk benar-benar berkomitmen membuat kebijakan yang memang benar-benar akan menyelamatkan kita dari climate crisis ini. Sampai sekarang masih belum terlihat keseriusan itu. Oleh karena itu, desakan-desakan dari berbagai pihak ini sangat penting untuk dilakukan, walaupun pemerintah masih belum menanggapi ini dengan serius begitu. Hari ini adalah Hari Anak sedunia. Nah, mereka layak untuk mendapatkan kehidupan yang baik seperti yang kita alami sekarang ini. Tidak ada kehidupan di planet yang mati begitu. Jadi penting bagi pemerintah untuk segera mendeklarasikan climate crisis. Menurut saya bukan hanya anak-anak atau generasi penerus kita juga akan masih hidup sampai mungkin 2050, 2060, dan kita sebagai generasi muda yang akan menagih janji dan komitmen pemerintah di masa sekarang yang katanya akan melakukan net zero karbon pada 2050. Nah, kita lah yang akan menagih janji itu. Oleh karena itu, pastikan teman-teman untuk selalu mengikuti isu ini dan juga mengamati perkembangannya begitu. Karena kita lah yang akan merasakan dan kita juga yang memiliki kesempatan untuk melakukan perubahan itu begitu. Mungkin itu dari saya. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Kelvin from SMN 1 Pinang. We would like to remind you guys that anyone in this room who wants to share your thoughts and give us your speech about this issue, please feel free to join us by inputting BEM_organization in this chat room.
Yes, you can also participate and share your thoughts by raise your hand with reaction feature.
We want to remind you guys again, anyone in this room who wants to share your thoughts and give us your speech about this issue, please feel free to join us by inputting BEM_organization in this chat room.
Yes, you can also use reaction feature by raising your hands to share your thoughts and giving your free speech in this event. Okay, Akmal from Adventure Book. Please share your thoughts and the stage and the spotlights is yours.
Ya, halo, selamat malam. Nama aku Farel Akmal dari Adventure Book. Aku bersekolah di SMA Negeri 48 Jakarta. Aku sangat setuju tentang apa yang dibicarakan soal Kelvin tentang tindakan tegas kita terhadap aksi nyata untuk kedepannya nanti. Menurutku juga edukasi terhadap anak-anak, entah adik kita atau nanti anak kita sendiri, itu cukup penting untuk menjaga lingkungan. Yang kita tahu tentang cuitan Kementerian Lingkungan Hidup itu sendiri membuat kita agak kesal ya terhadap apa yang ia katakan tentang deforestasi itu sendiri. Seperti yang aku bilang tadi, edukasi terhadap anak-anak atau adik-adik kita sendiri yang akan di masa depan nanti bisa membuat hidup mereka lebih baik tentang apa sih artinya lingkungan yang baik itu sendiri gitu. balik lagi ke arah pembicaraan aku tadi, kita juga nggak cuman membahas tentang hal-hal yang apa yang ingin kita lakukan nanti, tapi juga kita harus membahas tentang edukasi ke arah orang-orang lain terhadap masyarakat atau lingkungan kita yang ada di dekat sekitar kita juga. Untuk edukasi itu sendiri sih, aku sebagai anak SMA melihat teman-teman SMA aku juga itu sebagai orang yang kurang peduli terhadap lingkungan gitu, yang dimana mereka masih membuang sampah plastik di mana-mana gitu. Aku pernah membaca artikel yang dimana tentang sampah lingkungan yang ada di lautan gitu. Bahkan yang yang kita makan sendiri, ikan-ikan yang kita beli di pasar itu, bahkan ikan-ikan kecil pun udah mengandung plastik yang membuat tubuh kita itu berbahaya gitu untuk dikonsumsi. Seperti yang tadi aku bilang, menurutku edukasi terhadap anak-anak kecil tentang menjaga lingkungan melalui mengurangi tentang penggunaan sampah plastik dan lain-lain, menjaga semua hal-hal yang mengandung untuk membahayakan lingkungan itu cukup penting sih. Itu aja sih menurut aku. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Akmal, for sharing your thoughts and giving your free speech in this event. Okay, the next one is Salma Nadira from Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia. The stage is yours to share your thoughts.
Oke, halo teman-teman semua. Sebelumnya saya juga mau berterima kasih kepada teman-teman SMA yang sudah mau memberikan speech-nya. Terima kasih banyak sudah mengutarakan mengenai pendapat kalian masing-masing. Saya 100% setuju dengan apa yang teman-teman jelaskan tadi. Menurut saya, permasalahan lingkungan, terutama permasalahan krisis iklim ini, sudah menjadi tanggung jawab kita sebagai manusia bumi. Karena saya percaya bahwa masalah lingkungan itu bukan lagi untuk dipetah-petahkan. Saya concern dan kamu tidak concern, mereka concern, kalian tidak concern, sudah tidak seperti itu lagi. Karena saya percaya masalah dari tempat yang kita huni, rumah yang kita huni adalah masalah kita bersama. Maka itu sudah jadi tanggung jawab seorang manusia bumi untuk menjaga buminya, untuk menjaga rumahnya. Karena saya yakin, saya percaya bahwa apapun yang kita lakukan terhadap bumi ini, itu juga akan berdampak pada diri kita sendiri. Memang, mungkin narasi-narasi yang sering dilontarkan oleh banyak orang, itu menjelaskan mengenai bumi kita yang sudah tua, bumi kita yang sudah sakit-sakitan. Namun, teman-teman harus percaya bahwa kondisi bumi itu akan sangat berpengaruh bagi kita. Karena kita sendiri yang merasakan. Maka memang untuk concern terhadap permasalahan bumi ini bukan lagi sesuatu hal yang tabu atau bukan lagi sesuatu hal yang harus dipisah-pisahkan, harus dipetah-petahkan. Karena memang sudah jadi tanggung jawab kita semua, sudah jadi tanggung jawab kita sebagai manusia bumi untuk menjaga bumi manusianya. Terima kasih, saya Salma Nadira. Saya kembalikan lagi kepada Erdian Syai Baraki dan juga Filda Aulia Syifa.
Okay, thank you, Salma Nadira from Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia for sharing your thoughts about this issue. Now we're going to hear the thoughts Aru Ajoni from kami. Aru, the stage is yours.
Oke, terima kasih. Jadi pertama sekali saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada organizers BEM UI malam ini yang organize this stage. Sebenarnya saya sangat kagum, maaf ya kalau saya bercampur bahasa Indonesia dan bahasa Malaysia, karena sudah di Malaysia agak lama. Saya mau mengucapkan terima kasih kepada organizers malam ini. Sebenarnya saya sangat kagum dengan platform ini, karena di Malaysia, saya sudah menjadi student di Malaysia selama 13 tahun. Di Malaysia belum ada platform seperti ini. Jadi sangat-sangat kagum melihat begitu ramai mahasiswa malam ini yang berkumpul untuk bercakap tentang COP26 dan climate change. Karena bagi saya yang sudah tinggal lama di Malaysia, ini adalah sangat jarang ditemui platform bebas yang dipimpin oleh mahasiswa bercakap tentang environmental issues, sangat-sangat jarang. Dan I just wanted to say I'm grateful to be invited in this space and it's really good job. Dan saya cuma mau respon ada beberapa persoalan tadi yang dibangkitkan beberapa orang yang mengatakan bahwa we have to act beyond this talking karena we have to do action now. It's not time for talking anymore. Tapi bagi saya, the talking space, the talking stage, the conversation adalah stage yang paling penting. Karena kalau menurut saya, perspektif yang tinggal di Malaysia, mahasiswa-mahasiswa aja belum tahu tentang apa itu COP26 ataupun tentang climate change yang melanda di Malaysia. Jadi kalau tidak ada fasa conversation, this talking stage. Jadi bagaimana kita mau menekan the government ataupun kalau di Malaysia menekan kerajaan dan seperti yang Kelvin tadi bilang, bagaimana kita mau menagih janji terhadap our own government dan juga government di global north countries untuk mereka bertanggung jawab. Karena permasalahan climate change, environmental issues ini bukan berlaku begitu saja. Kita tahu bahwa negara-negara yang terimpact oleh perubahan iklim, kebanyakannya negara-negara yang dulunya dijajah. Ini adalah sistem yang berakar umbi dari kolonialisasi. Jadi sudah sepatutnya lah kita demand menagih janji, demand accountability dari negara-negara yang bertanggung jawab dan membebaskan paling banyak karbon sejak beberapa abad ini. Dan saya rasa the talking stage is the most important one, karena sedangkan di Malaysia aja belum ada this talking stage dan di Indonesia sudah ada. Dan saya sangat kagum melihat semua mahasiswa hari ini ngomong bagaimana COP26 tidak cukup. Dan di Malaysia saya rasanya hanya saya yang bilang COP26 tidak cukup. Tidak ada mahasiswa lain yang ngomong sebegini. Dan ya, kudos to the organizers, saya sangat kagum. Dan event seperti ini akan menginspirasi mahasiswa di Malaysia juga. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Aru, for sharing your thoughts with us. It is indeed we would like to agree with your statement. Thank you. And on behalf of BEM, we would like to say thank you too about your nice speech. Okay, the next one is from Afreza. So Afreza, feel free to share your thoughts. The spotlight is yours.
Okay, hi everyone. Ya, sama seperti pembicara sebelumnya, this is really great to see young people peduli, terutama di Indonesia, di mana yang government-nya itu sedikit ignorant, bukan sedikit ignorant, but really ignorant regarding this issue, tapi mahasiswanya sangat peduli ya, it's really great. Yang mau saya bilang bahwa kita sering tertipu dengan narasi bahwa climate change itu terjadi karena individual action. Ya, it's true karena individual action, tapi we also have to remember bahwa the government itu punya big responsibility atas apa yang terjadi. For example, kayak kontributor terbesar dari climate crisis adalah masalah emisi dari fossil fuel. Siapa yang punya kapasitas untuk melegalkan atau membiarkan fossil fuel itu digunakan di suatu negara, which is a government right. So the things that I want to talk right now, this is okay for us to push the government to do their. Jadi jangan merasa kayak climate crisis is because I throw the rubbish. Of course itu kan kita buang sampah, but the thing that is also important for us to change the system, jadi by reform the exploitative policy and so on. Jadi teman-teman semua, ketemu ada kebijakan pemerintah yang kayaknya eksploitatif deh, kayaknya kebijakan ini pro kooperasi dan lain-lain, nggak apa-apa, di speak up aja, bisa lewat petisi, bisa lewat social media campaign dan lain-lain. So for the last time, this is okay for us to push the government because it's their responsibility with the environmental issue. Gitu, okay, thanks everyone.
Okay, thank you all for sharing your amazing thoughts about this issue. And now we're going to hear the speech from Grace of Best Eco Future. To Grace, the spotlight is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. Saya adalah founder dari Best Eco Future, itu sebuah startup yang di bidang digital ya. Kami berusaha untuk berperan serta untuk bisa mencegah global warming dan mencegah perubahan iklim ini. Jadi ide yang kami miliki ini adalah memulai sesuatu, artinya memulai perubahan itu dari diri kita sendiri. Di sini kami mengajak kita semua, teman-teman semua di sini untuk mulai dari diri kita sendiri, nggak cuma sekedar kita speech di sini ya, tapi kita melakukan tindakan nyata. Tindakan nyatanya itu apa? Kami Best Eco Future nantinya akan meluncurkan produk digital yang itu sebuah semacam e-commerce ya, e-commerce marketplace yang isinya adalah produk-produk sustainable. Dan di situ juga kami akan banyak melakukan campaign yang itu akan memberikan banyak inputan, masukan, informasi, berita, dan sebagainya seputar perubahan iklim. Karena kami menilai bahwa target kami utama adalah teman-teman semua ya, generasi milenial, generasi Z, ya anak-anak muda, adik-adik kita yang masih kecil-kecil, yang belum pada lahir, itu adalah nanti kita semua adalah korban dari perubahan iklim. Karena itu ide kami adalah mulailah dari diri kita sendiri dengan menggunakan produk-produk yang sustainable. Jadi kalau teman-teman di sini biasa menggunakan produk-produk yang belum ramah lingkungan, cobalah berubah. Dari mulai yang sederhana, dari mulai bangun tidur kita sikat gigi, kalau bisa sikat giginya ganti dengan sikat gigi yang sustainable seperti sikat gigi bambu misalnya ya. Kemudian kalau odolnya juga bisa diganti dengan odol yang tidak terkemas dengan plastik dan sebagainya. Dan itu produk-produk seperti itu sebenarnya sudah banyak dan itu produksi lokal. Jadi kita juga bisa mensupport perekonomian lokal. Selain kita mensupport dunia, mensupport bumi supaya tetap sehat, bebas plastik, bebas sampah, bebas CO2, bebas emisi, dan sebagainya, kita juga bisa mensupport secara ekonomi. Ya, demikian ide saya. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Grace, for your amazing sharing with us today. Okay, the next one we will get to the next session, that is joint statement.
The reading of the joint statement will be read by representative from BEM, Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia, prepared together with Greenpeace, as well as representatives from other organizations, communities, and universities.
Okay, the representative of Badan Eksekutif Mahasiswa Universitas Indonesia, Leon Alvinda Putra, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Erdi and Filda. Hello everyone, my name is Leon Alvinda Putra. As a chairman of BEM UI 2021, allow me to read our joint statement as a result from this event. Joint statement, Conference of Students, Response of COP26. The climate crisis is now getting nearer to the point of no return. After all the years of campaigning or scientific research conducted by scientists, large amount of lobbying and negotiation from various countries, and countless climate disaster raging to this day, it is disappointing to see that COP26 did not really put an end to the exploitation that is severely affecting our Earth. Multiple agreements and key points taken during the conference are contradictory and inconsistent to the main idea of combating climate change. Hence, many organizations and movements see COP26 as a mere drama among leaders and a false solution to the climate crisis. To understand why the climate is getting worse, it is important to know the main factors behind climate change. The two main sectors behind climate change are energy and agriculture, especially through the expansion of industrial agriculture. There is no doubt on how the energy sectors remain the biggest polluter to the Earth's atmosphere. The combustion of fossil fuels to provide the demand for energy is the main culprit that contributes to the increasing level of carbon in our atmosphere. Almost 89% of carbon dioxide came from burning fossil fuel and industry back in 2018. Agriculture, mainly industrialized farming linked to the current global food system, on the other hand, is responsible for at least 23% of emission, including carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide combined. It is also responsible for another 7 to 14% of emission due to land use changes. Not only limited to energy and agriculture, it is also important to note that forests play a gargantuan role in the battle against the climate crisis. Large swaths of forest may reduce climate change effect by absorbing carbon dioxide. A single tree can store a ton of carbon dioxide over a lifetime of 100 years. But they are under the constant threat of deforestation. When it comes to Indonesia and Malaysia, the elephant in the room is our reliance upon palm oil. Research conducted by Greenpeace and Geospatial Institute, the tree map, shows a staggering 3.12 million hectares of rainforest being transformed into palm forest at the end of 2019. Another research by the University of Göttingen linked this large expansion of palm trees to the rising temperature in Sumatra, where they utilized the NASA Landsat and MODIS apparatus to examine forest cover in that region. Climate justice must include providing a just transition for our workers in the industry. We need to find ways to thrive without exhausting our resource. Same with the oil and gas industry, we need to plan a phase out with just transition and support from developed countries. After weeks of negotiation in Glasgow, COP26 concluded with Glasgow Climate Pact, which kickstarted the commitment and pledge of countries involved in UNFCCC. The commitment to reduce emission by 45% in 2030 to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius target was not accomplished during the Glasgow discussion. The current climate commitment of country put us at risk of 2.4 degrees Celsius by 2100, allowing the sea level to rise by 0.36 to 0.87 meters higher by 2100 relative to 1968 to 2005, and risking coastal area a greater danger of flooding and even drowning. Freshwater scarcity will occur in various parts of the world. Another pledge is about acceleration of coal removal and forest restoration to reduce carbon emission. However, in the final second of COP26, the agreement was amended from phase out to phase down of the use of coal and fossil fuel subsidies. This could lead to an unending increase of carbon emission, decreasing forest land, water and air pollution, and increment of earth temperature. Lastly, numerous countries pledged to achieve net zero emission by 2050. Sound very cliche due to the fact that the net zero emission that was agreed on in the Paris Agreement 6 years prior did not really change anything. Moreover, according to the result of Climate Action Tracker report's evaluation of the quality on net zero target based on CIT, only 6% of this country have clear and ambitious zero emission target. In order to attain the real zero emission target, each country aim must be increased which will require more political lobbying, money, and unfortunately, more time. The reality and the fact behind the agreement also show that COP26 is just international stage for spreading false hope and not the real solution toward a better earth. Furthermore, the struggle for environmental justice has always been tainted by blood and tears of many frontline communities that are affected by the climate crisis and the capitalist system. Through the failure of COP26, we must question whether the next COP will even change anything. We need an alternative to COP because it will not solve the climate crisis fast enough and protect frontline communities already affected today. This alternative needs to create disruption, and it must come from the people. We are running out of time, and we will not cross our fingers and let the next 10 COPs decide our fate. The problem we are facing now are systemic. The systemic change is what we needed. That's all for our joint statement together. Through this conference, I hope we can make a collaboration throughout the world to push worldwide government and leaders to take serious and ambitious steps to solve climate crisis. Thank you. And once again, thank you for all of your participation in tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you so much, Leonov Indaputra, for the joint statement reading. So by the end of our joint statement reading is also the end of our event today. Before the closing, I would like to invite all the participants to turn on your camera for documentation session. We will wait for 1 minute to all participants to turn on your camera before documentation. So please feel free to turn on your camera if you're willing to do so and you are capable of doing so by internet, I mean.